So, my people, we are starting our new unit of study, evolutionary history. This will take you through lesson 1.2. So, let's dive right in. I do want to point out that in Google Classroom, the video that is showing on your screen right here, I played it during Zoom. And if for whatever reason you missed the Zoom, you missed that intro video, what I'd ask you to do is come over here to Google Classroom, and within this assignment that you're in, you're going to watch that video, placing the mystery fossil in the museum right here. So watch that video first. Go ahead and pause this video if you missed it in Zoom. If not, you're good to go. So let's dive right into this lesson. We're going to go to our warm-up part 1. And in this one, we're going to be investigating what paleontologists or fossil hunters do. And we're going to analyze this drawing. This is our mystery fossil. You're going to see this picture throughout the unit as we practice being student paleontologists. And so you can read here, the idea is this fossil is millions of years old, and we don't know what kind of organism it is. But one way that scientists figure out where this organism fits in with our fossil record, or in other words, our history of life on this planet as we know it, as we study these fossils, one way they do that is they look at bone structure and try to figure out where that fossil fits in. So look at this picture, and what you're going to do is answer this question. Do any of this fossil's bones look like bones of other animals? Describe your thinking. So give it some time, look it over, see if this looks like any other animal that you've seen. Describe your thinking, push the hand in button, and then we'll go to the next part. Go ahead and pause this video to complete that, and then we'll move on to part 2. So part 2. We need to understand what a paleontologist is and how paleontologists operate within our scientific body of knowledge. So, a paleontologist is a scientist who studies fossils in order to understand the ancient history of life on Earth. So, there's this idea that we can't actually study these creatures when they were living, so we just have to take our best guess based on the fossil record that they leave behind. In other words, we look at their bones, we look at what they were eating, we look at what they were pooping, all of that stuff to try to figure out how their biology worked on this planet long, long ago. So again, this is our mystery fossil, and we're going to see this throughout this unit as we try to discover what this mystery fossil is. If you watched the video during the Zoom or ahead of watching this video, you'll know that this is kind of the fictional story that we have. We have this fossil that we've discovered, and we're trying to place it in a museum. So that'll give us an opportunity to practice being paleontologists and looking for similarities in different bone structures of these ancient animals. So let's dive into the hands-on portion. So friends that are, first of all, it looks like there's a vocabulary word, right? So what is a species? A species is a group of organisms of the same kind in one or more populations that do not reproduce with organisms from any other group. So that means that in order for something to be a species, it has to be able to, part of a species, it has to be able to basically make babies with other members of that species. That's one of the underlying criteria. So, friends, as we dive into this, all of this in your hands-on portion, if you're watching this video right now, it means you're not in class with me, and I'm sorry about that. I can't really change that. So for part 3, for my remote students and for my B group students, you're going to do this digitally. Friends that are in class will get to do it more hands-on. But if we go over here to our Google classroom, we see that there's this set of Google Slides. If we click on that, it's going to open this up, and here are your instructions. All of these slides here have different animals, ancient animals, that are no longer with us today. Well, maybe except for the camel, or the fruit bat. But what you're going to do is you're going to look through all of these different animals, and you'll notice over here on the left-hand side, they're not in any particular order. Your job is to sort them. So if we look at our instructions here, change the slide order to group the 9 cards by similar characteristics. Use the group cards to identify which characteristics they have in common. Common characteristics could include or could be flight or wings, legs, sea creatures, etc. So we're trying to practice being paleontologists. So we get a nice card here, and it will show, especially if we zoom in a little bit here, it'll give us some information about the animal. It will also give us a skeletal structure so we can look at the bone structure. So like for instance, this creature, this dire wolf, obviously has legs of some kind. So maybe if legs was one of your characteristics, you would put the dire wolf in the legs category. So let's go through this really quick. How would we do that? These last couple slides here at the end have characteristics. So let's just say the characteristics for this one, oops, maybe it was legs. Oops. I'm just going to put that in there for group 1. And I'll take my card here, my slide, and I'll put it right at the top. So I'm going to group everything that is in this group 1, because I chose legs. I'm going to group it as, I'm just going to put it right underneath. So what else has legs? Pakicetus. Pakicetus has legs. I'm going to put it up here. Okay, so now I've got my dire wolf, and I've got my Pakicetus. Oh, look at this. This thing has legs. The Titanotylopus. That's a fun one to pronounce. So I'm going to put it up here too. Okay, so maybe my next and my camel has legs too. So I'm going to put all of these together. So now I've got my slide order is legs, shared characteristics, legs. And maybe I want to be more specific. Maybe I want to say it's a quadruped or 4 legs. Oh, so there I'm going to say all of these are legged creatures. They are quadrupeds, and they have 4 legs. So as I look through here, I'm also seeing creatures that have wings. So I'm just going to say wings for my group 2. And now I'm going to find any creature I can with wings and put those in there. And so all I have for that is the fruit bat and the Meganeura. Meganeura. Interesting word. And then for my last category, I could say, well, my only other 2, it looks like, are sea creatures. Let's take a closer look. Let's make sure this actually lived in the sea. They lived underwater in the ocean. Okay. So now I can say, well, maybe I'll group the mollusk here and this ancient fish, the Eusthenopteron. Eusthenopteron. Wow, that's a tough word to pronounce too. So maybe those will be my 3 characteristics. You can choose your own, especially once you go through and you read some of the details. Like if I go here, we might say, wow, this is actually an insect, this dragonfly here. So maybe I want to create my own category for insects. For this one, I just chose wings. So friends, complete complete this activity and make sure you push the turn in button, especially for my B group and remote students, so I know that you got it done, because you're not going to be able to do it in class. All right, let's go. That should wrap up our hands-on portion. Now let's go to part 4 here. So part 4, we've got another um, vocabulary word, and that would be, or phrase, body structure. And that's just a part of an organism. One or more bones, could be like we just did in our hands-on, could be legs, could be wings. What's the overall body structure of this organism? And so ideally, as paleontologists, as student paleontologists, we should be able to make comparisons between two or more creatures. And in doing so, we can sort of figure out how they evolved or how they changed over time from one creature to another. So, as we look at these two, we can see the bones here are highlighted for a comparison for each. So you can see the nostril on the fish and the eusthenopterone, and the Titanotobolus. We can see the two. Yeah, I know they're hard to pronounce. We can see that the highlighted colors here are comparing the two bone structures. So this yellow in the back, that's the pelvis. That would be the bone on you around your hips. And we can see that here on this creature. And then on our fish over here, we can see it does have a pelvis, a very tiny one, shaped very differently. Same thing for the lower leg, and the lower leg here, along with the upper leg. And I'm supposed this would be the hip here, and the green is the hip. So what paleontologists do as they are trying to figure out what fossil fits into our fossil record is when they have a new fossil, like the mystery fossil from this unit here, they have to try to look at these bone structures to figure out precisely where they think it should fall in line with that animal's family. Okay, last but not least for this lesson, friends, we are going to be reading this article, The Cat That Wasn't a Cat at All. So please read through this article, do a nice, slow, careful, close read, and then you're going to answer these two questions on the right here. The first scientist misidentified the fossil that it was a big cat. What body structure did he use to make his observations? And then this other question that you're looking for in your reading, what body structure did the second scientist use to determine that the first scientist had made a boo-boo or misidentified that fossil? And when you're done with those two questions, you're going to push that hand in button, and then you are good to go for lesson 1.2. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And don't forget,